Welcome everyone, my name is Limbic, and today is Wednesday, which means it's time for me to answer the question, should I buy Sgt. Hammer?
Let me guess, you thought Sergeant Hammer was gonna be a man! Joke's on you, kiddo.
Sgt. Hammer excels at dishing out massive amounts of damage from a very long range and demolishing enemy buildings. She cannot use a mount, instead she has an ability called Siege Thrusters, which are basically an instant cast faster mount that only lasts for 4 seconds. Her trait is known as Artillery. It causes basic attacks to deal bonus damage to distant enemies. Her Q is Spider Mines, which spawns 3 mines at target location that lock onto and charge enemies before exploding, dealing damage and slowing them. Her W is Concussive Blast, which pushes enemies away from Hammer. Her E is Siege Mode, which is also her most iconic ability. Once activated, Sgt. Hammer cannot move, but also gains massive attack range, splash damage, and bonus damage versus minions and turrets. After a short cooldown, she can return to tank mode, allowing her to move once again. Her first option for heroic ability is Blunt Force Gun, which shoots out a giant bullet that travels in a straight line, damaging enemies it hits along its path. The other option is Napalm Strike, which deals damage in an AoE on impact, along with additional damage in the area over time. Let's move on to playstyle. Sgt. Hammer can easily destroy an enemy turret within the first couple of minutes of a game if she is allowed to hammer away on them. No? Alright, I'll see myself out. All jokes aside, if left alone in the early game, she will turn enemy structures to dust at an incredible pace. For the rest of the game, arguably the most important aspect of playing Sgt. Hammer well is positioning. She needs to be very careful about where she decides to siege up. If she plants herself too far away, her foes will simply stand outside of her range. Too close and they will tear her to shreds. And it is important to understand that if enemies do get close to her and Siege Thrusters is on its long cooldown, then she is almost certainly dead. Sieging up in strategic and advantageous positions is what separates great Sgt. Hammer players from those who feed with her. Now we move on to the important question. Should you purchase her? Sgt. Hammer is a very unique hero who provides an experience that no one else in the game does. If the idea of having to very carefully choose where you're going to be sitting for a while, dealing out terrible damage to all of those who dare stand in your circle sounds appealing to you, then you might want to have a look at her. But if you're not super into the idea of being bolted to the ground, potentially vulnerable all the time, then you might want to look elsewhere. It's also worth mentioning that Sgt. Hammer has an arch enemy, and his name is Stitches. His ability to constantly pull you out of position to where you have nearly 0 chance of survival makes him a pretty hard counter, so bear that in mind, especially with how popular Stitches is at the moment. Sgt. Hammer, everyone, currently priced at 7,000 gold. My name has been Limbic, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Hi. My name is Limbic. Each and every day, millions of YouTube annotations remain unclicked on. These poor, helpless annotations go through all the work to appear on people's screens, only to remain either ignored or closed. But you can help put a stop to this. Click on one of these annotations today, and let's end this madness together. Thank you.